What do you say, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Elephant in the Room. Got a lot to talk about. It's Oklahoma week. And is this becoming, or will this become, a big rivalry in the SEC? Two of college football's powerhouses, historically, two blue bloods get together. And if you ask yourself, is Oklahoma a blue blood? You better believe it. 7 national championships and 50 conference championships. It's pretty impressive over there for the Okies from Muskogee, right? And that's Alabama's opponent to this week. So we're going to talk about that and more. But first, before we do anything else, let me get this thing started with the most entertaining opening in podcast history. If that doesn't tell the story, I don't know what does. With Jake Coker.
Yeah, they definitely didn't expect this podcast to hang around very long.
No, I'm Mick Gillispie. Yeah, I got a feeling when they put that out there, they were probably expecting some of the other pods to go a little further than this. We thought we were going to get fired a few times along the way, but we've survived somehow. You were asking me like what episode this is. I think it's like episode like 112 or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I think it's in that neighborhood. But I'm Mick Gillispie. He's Jake Coker. All right, man. A quick recap of the game against Mercer. Ass whooping. All right, let's talk about Oklahoma. They scored 1 touchdown, and honestly, the guy made such an incredible catch. He ruined I told you it was going to be 56-0.
Yeah.
People were messaging me. They were like, hey, you got to give him that. I was like, man, I'm giving him that. The guy made like a one-handed catch, like, with great coverage.
No, I saw what was my prediction? 45 to
You had him
10?
scoring 13.
13.
I thought that was a little rich, to be honest with you, with the way this defense is playing.
Trash time touchdown.
Well, this was actually in the first half.
Quarterback threw it around a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you know what we're seeing with Indiana right now? They're 10-0. Their coach just got an 8-year extension, which I think is crazy when they haven't played Ohio State or any team getting votes in the top 25. But they are 10-0. And what this guy
Indiana's never seen this before.
I know. But what they did was they've gone into the transfer portal and they've gone to some of these smaller schools like Mercer and picked out like the best players from those teams, giving them a chance at this level that have some games under their belt. And those guys can play. I've seen the same thing used in college baseball, and it works, So, maybe those same players 2 years ago weren't ready for that level, but they're playing. They're really smart, and they're playing really good football.
Hey, I mean, I've said this about these small school games year in, year out. Is these teams can't hang with Alabama because they don't have that talent across the board. But there are players on those teams that could easily play for. Alabama, Auburn, Indiana. I say easily. I mean, some of those guys, there's a lot of talent out there, and there's some of those guys end up being first-round draft picks. So, I mean, it's not really – when you look at individual players, there's a lot of talent down there. But, I mean, it's just you can't recruit 22 guys that are as good as what Alabama has.
Well, right. I mean, if you're at Mercer or somewhere like that – but you know what? Vanderbilt showed this year that you can beat the big boys. You can contend with the big boys if you play smart and disciplined and you're in the right position and you don't make mistakes. They could have beaten Texas had they not turned the ball over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like I make that comment about Arkansas. Man, they don't historically they not they have a good year here and there, but and they've got the talent to show up for any game of the year. They can beat anybody on, 2 particular Saturdays a year. I mean, they got the guys to do it. It's just they miss consistency and depth.
Well, 52-7, we got a chance to see 4 different quarterbacks. I thought that was pretty cool. Austin Mack made a great pass. Ty Simpson had like this play where he was running around and then made a good throw. I thought Dylan Lonergan, who also came in the game, was really accurate with his throws. And I don't know what the depth chart is now. I guess it really doesn't matter. I mean, it's Ty Simpson backing up Jalen Milroe, but when next year comes, I think you have a wide open quarterback battle and see what happens. I mean, I don't think anybody has the edge, but maybe Ty just because he's played more. But you've been through one of these, and I guess just as a player, you just want to have a shot to win the job.
Yeah, I mean, next year you got to have that battle. I mean, obviously Ty's going to get every opportunity to be the man. He's been there. He's shown loyalty to the program. He's obviously a leader on that team now, even though he's not a starter. But a guy that understands the offense and understands where people need to be, and he's just I think he's a guy that carries himself with a little more maturity than his age. I think he's going to be a great player. I mean, you got a lot of options there. Those guys, they got a lot of talent. Again, we'll have to find out when the real bullets are flying, and when you're playing LSU or Auburn, or when the lights are really on. I think when you get to see these guys play in backup roles, you kind of see their talent. But to me, that talent, timing, fluidity in the pocket, you get to see all those things, but it's not you don't really get to see them with, again, bullets flying and understand who they are as a player when chaos hits.
Yeah, right. And I guess that's kind of part of this too, is just being ready for that opportunity when it happens. But this season is alive and well. Alabama has basically, we're looking at potentially a 5-way tie for the final playoff berth to get into the SEC championship game. So Texas is playing Kentucky. The SEC did a great job of giving Texas the weakest schedule that I've ever seen since Georgia a few years ago. And
it is crazy.
It's
like, almost like that was, I said it a few weeks ago, it's almost like that was part of the deal.
I mean, good God, this is such a weak schedule.
Yeah.
We got a matchup against Kentucky. Okay.
A&M's going to be their toughest game of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then look what happened to them in that game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, I think Vandy is still their best win of the year.
It is. It is. I mean, they have the potential.
It's hard. I mean, I know we lost to them.
Right.
But I think we have the toughest schedule in the SEC outside of Georgia, maybe.
I think Georgia and us are right there. Ours is going to get a little easier technically just because Oklahoma and Auburn are losers this year, but they're still good teams. I mean, or they're tough teams. Maybe not good teams, but they have talent and they can beat you if you don't go out there and do what you have to do.
Yeah, Venables is going to make it tough on defense. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be one of those games. Either we, squeak out a loss, in a low scoring, or squeak out a win in a low scoring game, or we end up, beating them by. I know the line's 14. I don't really know what to make of that, but again, if I had to give out a score prediction right now, I'd say probably 27-7, something like that. Nothing crazy.
Your early Alabama score, huh?
Yeah.
Look at you, man. Already turning those wheels. The spread's 14. That's a little rich for your blood. Right there at the number.
That's probably right about where I'd put it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it just, again, it depends. If we come out, score early, I think we cruise on through.
Right.
Again, you make them believe you may be in for a dogfight at the end of the game.
Yep. Well, we've seen that. Where you go in there and treat them like you treated LSU, and you open up, as Steve Austin used to say. You know Steve Austin?
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to say, open up a can of whoop ass on him. You do that, and I mean, it's a short game. Like LSU got that can of ass whoop put on them, and it was that place was gone by the fourth quarter. And all the shit talking they do there. I mean, I felt sorry for him. I felt sorry for him because I got a cousin that's one of them. I got some friends that are LSU fans, and I never text anybody smack talk when it comes to Alabama football. Never. I'm just
It's
like,
kind of like rushing the field.
yeah, right. Like, it's like, oh, okay, you got, we're playing you this week, man. It's
I
like,
think LSU, didn't they rush the field when they beat us?
yeah, and they had that
21?
one dude that looked like he ought to be in prison harassing our coaching staff.
That one dude from Baton Rouge.
Well, you know what I'm talking
looked
about,
like
though.
He should be
the guy, like he was like, he had like short hair, and he was just over there. Like, I thought if this guy was walking to my car, I'd lock the windows. You know what I mean? like you get no change, pal, and I'd drive off. Like, get this guy away from our coaching staff.
If he saw you with that mustache, he'd be like, man,
he'd think I had money.
Maybe I got to give this guy money.
Man, this mustache says prestige. This says a man of confidence and success. Yeah. I mean, I knew it was going to come up at some point. And I got my hat here that they gave me at Druid City Brewing, and I got my mustache, and I don't know how long this looks going to stay.
Go-kart.
Are you saying I look like Mario? I've heard that. But I'm looking for Dale Earnhardt Sr., the Intimidator. I'm looking for Magnum. Magnum?
You have to kill a few more deer and you're not gonna be able to drive a what are you driving right now on
a Honda?
A Honda Accord.
I drive a Honda Accord. It's brand new. So FYI, I used to drive. The only reason I say that is because my old one that I traded in had 316,000 miles on it. And I hated to let that car go, but I was scared because I travel so much that I was like, man, I don't want to get trapped, somewhere near your hunting camp and be like, middle of nowhere. Have you ever seen Deliverance?
I mean,
had Burt Reynolds.
I've seen parts of it.
Had the guy from like the Hefty commercials.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary.
It's scary. You don't want to get you don't want to go down the wrong path down here.
Yeah.
Between here and Montgomery.
I got a flat tire one time between Tuscaloosa and my wife's hunting camp.
Oh boy.
And I mean, it was between Centerville and Selma. And just, pitch black dark in the middle of nowhere. And I mean, of course, she's freaking out.
Oh, she was with you.
Calm down. And my jack wouldn't go all the way down. So I had to just, rig it up and figure out how to. You lifted
the car with one hand and changed the tire with the other. I believe.
But I had the pistol handy.
No, did you?
That's what Freddie Kitchens was telling me. He was asking me about which kind of gun to buy. Because he was like, yeah, he'd drive like over the summertime. He'd drive to North Carolina for a week whenever we had time off in July. And he's like, yeah, man, I was pulling the horses from Arizona to North Carolina. I was like, hey, first off, you got a horse trailer and you don't have a gun? It's like,
yeah.
And he's like, yeah. He goes, I break down and it's like I'm sitting there and I see headlights pull up behind me and it's not a cop. And he's like, I don't have a gun. It's like, so I grabbed a pencil and broke it in half and just got ready.
That'll protect you. Some cattle rustlers. Is he watching Yellowstone? That's like Rip and a couple other dudes. We're gonna take him to the train station.
Like Rip.
We're gonna take old Freddie to the train station.
And Freddie at that time, he just had like a shoulder replacement almost. I'd walk through that facility and I'd see him doing triceps like this, like 10 pounds on him. It's like,
whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes. I don't know how long this mustache is going to go. Clint told me that he doesn't want me shaving it until we win the SEC championship. So that's another 3 weeks. There's been a couple times where
possibly a year or two.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a couple times.
Hell, maybe 10 years. You never know.
Well, I mean, what do you think happened with like Dale Sr.? Like he's driving cars and then he won a race and he was like, man, I think this mustache is really. I know you're a little
for a long time before though, didn't he?
I don't know. I mean, he was a really good car driver. My grandparents watched it, and we used to go over there, and I wanted to watch football. I wanted to watch the NFL on Sundays, and it was like this is back when NASCAR was like 2 cameras. I mean, one over the track and then one, I think, like by pit road, and maybe 3, but it wasn't that fun to watch. But he had been into it since before it was even like a sport. So if you went to his house on Sunday, and that's when we went over there, you had to watch that. But then when I got older, it became great. Like probably when you were a little kid, it was like you couldn't miss it, man. It was like Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace and the Burtons. And I mean, like Jeff Jarrett. I mean, it was like, and everybody was a personality, like, so it was fun to watch. So I got into it pretty good there for a while. And then when Dale died, I mean, that was terrible, man.
I've never gotten into
it. It was terrible. That's when I kind of got out of it again.
Yeah. I've just never gotten into it.
Now it's like corporate, like it didn't like it used to be. It didn't like some
school.
Well, I was like, these dudes were like racing on dirt tracks and everything,
Like that would have been back then would be like golf today if John Daly made all the rules.
Yeah, right. It was kind of like that. They would get into fist fights in the pits and stuff. You got a lot of, number ones. But now, and anyway, I wondered, like, how did it start? How did Tom Selleck say, you know what, man, I'm gonna throw this mustache up there and see how it goes? See, I was, and I'll show you, man. I was on this really great beer review show during COVID, and my partner had a mustache. And he cut it off, and it was like Samson. When he got his hair cut off, he lost his powers. He's not the same. Bricken, yeah, he's not the same guy anymore. He's still a good guy, but he had something special,
Do you feel like you've really accomplished something with that mustache? Like
well,
you got some powers now?
I mean, I'm not saying I don't. like people look at you differently.
They do, for sure.
Man, I walked into Druid City I just wanted to buy a shirt, and they just started handing me stuff.
I like those old school hats.
Yeah, like, you want a hat? You want 2 T-shirts? Here's another hat. Take a sticker. I'm like, walking out, like Pondo's like, it's got to be the mustache, I don't know, man. It's fun. It's just a good time of year for it. But then once you start to get on a roll, you don't want to cut this thing and mess up the karma. If we lose one of the next 2 games, I'm afraid to cut it because I don't want to lose to Oklahoma. But man, I hate Auburn. I mean, I'm sorry to say that, and I know that's a terror. Some of you guys are going to be offended by that. I hate them. There's normally an F word I put in front of them. Like, I don't want to lose to them. I hope Kalen DeBoer knows that
would be the worst.
They're playing, like, everything that they do is to beat us because their season's they had another disaster.
How many times has Auburn ruined our season in the Iron Bowl when Auburn had nothing to play for?
They tried to.
In 2013, I know that it was either Alabama or Auburn going to the national championship, and that was the kick 6 year.
That sucks. I heard a podcast talking about that. This guy played quarterback at Alabama. He's right there. AJ McCarron. There he is on my Daniel Moore print. I'm not sure exactly. He said kick 6. He said that somebody took a crap and went in the kicker's shoes on the podcast. I mean, and the guy put the shoes on. Like, he didn't know that somebody took a poop in the shoes.
You think he inspected his cleats every time he put them on from then on out?
Man, I'll tell you what. Who wants to put on a pair of shoes with shit inside?
Oh my! Can you imagine? I'd have to take the day off after that.
man, it just reminded me of this when I was in school. I mean, I'm going to age myself, and with this mustache, Holt Clark told me I look a lot younger, so I'm going to give myself going back in time. But Bama lost to Tom Brady in Michigan in the Orange Bowl because kicker missed an extra point. His name was Flugner, and I went to the movies in Tuscaloosa. I was a student. I went to the movies, and the whole movie, I don't even remember what movie it was, but it was packed.
Yeah, and
he came and sat down, and people were heckling him in the movie theater. It was like a bunch of kids, and they just kept going, Flugner. So I guess and I always felt sorry for him because Bama beat Florida on a missed extra point that year. And in the Swamp, and that was back when Steve Spurrier was there, and they didn't lose a lot.
Yeah.
but yeah, the way that AJ told the story was like the guy kept missing those field goals, and I remember that. I remember like the thing about that game that I thought about the most was why would you go out and get a whole team of good players and not go get a kicker? You know, and then the last like few years, like the guy that we got this year,
was Coach Saban.
That was Coach Saban.
Saban not used to give kicker scholarships?
I don't know, but it wasn't just that year. There were other years where we didn't have like a kicker. Like we might not have a punter, or we might not have a really good
that was
kicker.
The only thing I feel like
But now look at it, man. We got real good kickers.
But Alabama used to be. I feel like, man, when I was growing up, I felt like we always had pretty good kickers.
Okay, no,
I mean not when Coach Saban was there.
I'm going to disagree with you.
But like Jamie Christensen in 05.
He was good. But before that and after, we had the Michael Proctors of the world. And then we had years where we missed.
Lee Tiffin.
And Lee was good. But then we had years where we missed 5 field goals to lose to Arkansas. And then every time we played Auburn, we couldn't kick a field goal. Like Auburn's always been the kicking school.
Oh, yeah, they definitely
And
have.
then we've been the school where I'll tell you what, the last guy that we had, the guy that's in the NFL, Will Reichert, that guy's a hell of a foot, man. The guy we got now, we don't even need him that much because we score so many touchdowns. But that dude can kick, man. He's very accurate.
Well, he won the
Groza Award.
Yeah, the Groza last year.
But I love the fact that we went out and addressed that. We didn't go into it going, hey, man, we got 3 guys over here, and hopefully one of them gets it done. Like
a kicker, when you're playing, you forget how valuable a kicker is until there's 10 seconds left and you're down 2. With a 40-yard kick on.
No, I know. Do you ever watch Game Day Pat McAfee pays those kids to kick the field goals? And I don't know where they got the guy this past show, but I mean he just nailed it. Nailed it.
Pat was ready to get rid of some money.
Yeah. But some weeks, and I know it's hard. My best friend and I as a kid, best friend as a kid, like growing up, best friend, we used to kick field goals like he would hold and I would kick. And it was so much fun, man.
Oh, yeah. My older brother used to kick.
And you hold him?
I mean, he kicked for fun. He never played.
But I know what you mean, like in the backyard games.
Yeah. Who had this plastic field goal post in the backyard. And he'd kick through it. And I'd kick from like 15 yards. And he'd kick from like 35. And he beat me. And I remember I went up that plastic goal and I ripped off one arm, and I had to go run and hide.
You were a sore loser.
Hey man, when you're when you got an older brother and then all your cousins are older than you too, and you're just getting your ass whipped all the time, it's hard to lose that consistently all the time without getting an attitude.
I'm gonna tell you my story on this because I've got the opposite story. I was the younger cousin, but I was too in my family, and but I, by far, was the best baseball player. I mean, it wasn't even close. So me, even as a little kid, I was way better than them, and they were older than me, And we played football, and the oldest cousin, a guy named Chip, hopefully he's not watching, because he might still try to whoop me. He got so mad he would chase you with the wiffle ball bat and try to hit you with it. And I could just ruin the game because if I wanted to get a home run, we were going to get a home run. You know what I mean? Like, how sometimes you're playing and you kind of keep it close because it's fun. Just to set yourself up to win at the end.
Yeah.
And these guys are 5 years older than me. And then when it was time to win, I'm going to win. And he would get so mad and chase me.
That wasn't the case.
That wasn't
my cousins.
Your cousins were better, probably.
My cousins were ruthless. Ruthless.
They were probably better.
I got to be known as, like my dad always tells a story, but he's all-time quarterback in the front yard.
Oh yeah, my dad was that too.
And he's throwing, and there's a big pile up, and I get at the bottom. And I got a cousin named Scott, and he's like, I hear Scott just screaming bloody murder. And the pile,
you bit his leg,
and the pile just just evaporates. And Scott's got a freaking bite mark on his shoulder. My brother's got a bite mark on his calf. And I'm just like, I told you to get off.
I know. We used to have a kid like that in our neighborhood. His name was
That's
Devin, little Irish kid.
That's like, what's his name? Dan Campbell. He says, "We'll bite your kneecap off." That was
yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah, we had one of those guys too. He was like that. Like you weren't gonna bully him because he'll bite you.
Yeah.
I mean, like the little guy, but kind of had like a mean attitude to him. You always like I moved when I was a kid a lot, so I don't even know what happened to half the kids that 80% of the kids I grew up with.
Yeah.
No clue. Just because we didn't ever live anywhere long enough to know. But I was always about playing games. The organizer of the game.
Oh yeah.
Like I would make sure I had the ball and make sure I would set up the rules.
Oh yeah.
That way I was always playing.
No, those neighborhood games are always the best.
Yep. A lot of pride there. So let's swing it back to Bama. I'm in no hurry today. I've sectioned off a big portion of time to talk to you and all the great people in our audience.
What you got in your hand back there?
Look, I'm all I'm trying to do. You
I
good?
See you looking at me and looking down, looking at me.
That's it. I got it here. Okay. I'm going from the heavy to the light. Okay. But I got a keg of Yeehaw hazy here. That's a Yeehaw on the wall there. It's actually delicious.
I've noticed that forever. I don't think I've ever had one.
Well, you can have one now because there's a whole keg of it. But what I want to say though is that this show is brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use the promo code next round to double your initial deposit. Lots of great things right now to play. The NFL, which by the way, my Ravens lost to the Steelers. It was a tough loss, but as much as Justin Tucker's been a hero for the Ravens over the years, he missed some field goals, and Ravens lost by 2. That's why field goal kicking is important. But you got NHL, NBA. How about the Cleveland Cavaliers, man? Break them up. They're undefeated. But you can play that. You got college basketball. Bama had their first loss. You and I need to talk some basketball because I'm not giving up on this team after one loss at Purdue. I'm not. I know you probably are.
But by saying that, you're hinting towards
that you might be.
No.
I like them playing a tough schedule.
No, we're good.
The women's team's playing like Louisiana Monroe, and these guys are at Purdue.
We're in the tournament. And
I'm just telling you, we're going to run this thing. Okay. We got Bama, you got college football, all that though, mybookie.ag. And guys, they make this channel happen. That's why we want you to support them. Try it out. It's a lot of fun. And every week, Jake gives you winning picks. He's the pros. I'm the Joes. Just ask him. Just ask him. The other thing I want to tell you guys is that, with the holiday season coming, take advantage of our promo code, which is Room20. 20% off Roback.com.
I think it's about time for a holiday package for the boys.
Yeah, for the boy. I'm with you, man. I saw you wearing it. You've really been showing off a lot wearing that Roback polo, the Alabama Roback polo. So to counter you on the tailgate show last time, I wore the Roback hoodie. And that's like kinging you. That's like kinging you. You know what I mean? Like double jumping you and kinging you. Like it is comfortable. Honestly, all their stuff's comfortable. They sent us a box of stuff, and the gray sweatshirt that they
I wear it.
Oh, good, dude. Like
I wear it every night.
That one, the polos. There's 2 polos.
This time of year, it's perfect.
Yeah, I haven't even worn 2 of the polos.
You haven't even worn 2 of the polos?
I've been saving them because I get white dirty, so I'm not wearing that until I have the black one I wear a lot.
Yeah.
And but their stuff's great. And you know what I've noticed is a lot of people wear it too, man. Like
it's
everywhere. Yeah.
It's called on.
So
you see the 3 stripes on the back of the neck all the time now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But Room20, that's our promo code. You get 20% off your order. And I'm going to start hitting this a lot more because it's that time of year where you're thinking like, I got to get my brother something. I got to get my dad something, I want to do it. Like I want to hook them up, but I wouldn't mind having, maybe a little something off. Give me a little something off the top. There you go. Room20. All right. So Bama's playing Oklahoma. We played Oklahoma when I was in grad school, and that was when Bob Stoops was at Oklahoma. We played there. Then they won both of them. They needed a fake punt to beat us in Tuscaloosa. Like we kind of had some momentum. They faked the punt and they ended up beating us. They beat us there too. Maybe I got the games back reversed, but my Catfish, my buddy Catfish, you know him from the Bama Tailgate Show. He went and we were talking about that yesterday. Like he was like, if you ever can imagine if you went somewhere else, like, and you kind of wanted that Tuscaloosa vibe, he's like, great fans, like been there, done that fans, you know, like they're not tearing goalposts down. City's cool. Like really, really, I'm excited about it. Honestly, like if we didn't, you know, if we weren't going to be at Pearl River Resort for the tailgate show, I mean, I'd almost go, man. I mean, if I could.
I'd love to go. I got a old teammate out there who's one of the strength coaches. I'd love to go see him and hang out.
From Florida State or Bama?
Florida State.
Okay.
I've always wanted to go out there, and I've heard that the new tradition they got playing courtesy of the red, white, and blue right before the fourth quarter. Here we go, Texan again.
I'm not. I'm double checking the facts before I throw them out there. Okay. But I love Toby Keith too. And I've told you, we were this close to having Toby Keith at Old York when I was in college. You know, we had Merle Haggard, Marshall Tucker Band. We had Willie Nelson. We had Jerry Reed, Bobby Bear, Billy Ray Cyrus. I mean, like a huge list of great acts. In the late 90s. And we had Toby Keith, and Toby Keith's first album was amazing. I mean, was really amazing, but what didn't make him like, you know, should have been a cowboy and all those songs. And so he was like, he went from like bars to like small venues like Old York, right? Well, then his second album came out, and then he was like kind of like a superstar. Yeah. And so they bought themselves out of the deal. You know what I mean? Like you put in there, hey, if you're not going to show up, you got to pay us.
Yeah.
And it was just more for them to pay whatever the money was, not to do the show.
Yeah.
But I was so excited because I was like, man, this is going to be great, you know, because I love that first album. So I'm a Toby Keith guy. I know he's a huge Oklahoma fan, and still hard to believe he's dead, man.
That's him and Blake Shelton. Man, that'd been
Blake Shelton's dead?
No. He's no.
Oh, they're Oklahoma fans. I'm just kidding.
That'd be a what?
I'm just kidding.
What'd you say?
I said Blake Shelton's dead. I'm sorry, Blake.
I love Blake Shelton.
Do you?
That would be a fun. I don't know. Go have a beer with Blake Shelton and Toby Keith.
Yeah. Talk like watch some Oklahoma and Bama game. Oklahoma's a 14-point underdog at home. They have had one of those years where they're not getting blown out, but they don't have enough to win.
Yeah.
They got lucky to beat Auburn, right? Auburn threw a pick six at the end of the game to give it away, which has been their season in a nutshell.
Yep. Good. I mean, pretty good.
Competitive.
At most things except
winning.
The actual winning part.
And
that's what worries me about the Iron Bowl.
Well, I mean, if it was down in Auburn, you know, maybe, but I just can't imagine Bama not being ready for this game.
I mean, I would agree.
Just can't.
And we seem to be putting it together where we're very consistent in the last 3 games. Seems like we've kind of found our bread and butter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what started? It started with Booker basically saying, hey, stop fucking around.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, but that's pretty much what happened. And then that team, and then the other guys, you know, you're seeing other guys that are saying the same thing. It takes the older guys or the guys that play a lot.
That's the only way you win.
That's how you win.
It's like I've always said when Coach Saban was there and the playoff had started and I was done playing, people asked me about, you know, what you think of this year? I was like, well, we'll be in the playoff and we'll win if we've got the right leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's it. You know, I mean, always got the talent, got the coaching expertise. It comes down to guys in the locker room.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm. No, I agree, man. And that's not just football. I mean, that's anything, you know, like leadership matters in everything you do. Like work, you got great leadership. You're going to do well. If you don't, you're not, you know, and that's sports. That's your military. That's your government. That's your office. You know, I mean, I think it's the most important thing that Well, it's one of the most important qualities that you have in life, really, is just. And how many guys have you heard say, like, I can't tell you how many times Mike Johnson's been like, hey, I've had success in life because I played for Coach Saban.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Coach DeBoer isn't successful either. It's a different style, but it's the same thing.
Yeah. That's like we talked about Friday. I mean, it's Coach Saban, and he mentioned, I guess he said, around 1996, he started coaching not to move up in the ranks or for, professional advancement individually. He coached to make everybody else around him better, and would just assume that things would get better for him if he did that. I mean, it's so true. You
the process
affect everybody around you the right way, then you'll rise with everybody else around you.
Yeah. I believe in this, man. I mean, like, not, and I mean, this isn't just necessarily about football, but it's just about success. I think positivity, I got to be around positive people, man. I mean, if I said that on here before, because I say that a lot. I know I do. I think being around positive people matters too. I think success and positivity go hand in hand.
Yeah. No. Shit, a negative attitude is the worst. Damn.
That's what I'm saying.
Cancer around.
It's a cancer, right? And when you put positive people around you, you can't help but be positive. The positive mentality, positive attitude. When things don't go your way, are you going to look at the glass half full or half empty? And your glass is empty. Would you like me to fill it for you?
Yeah, sure.
It's the kind of friend I am. But there's obviously some of that going on right now with this team. And it's exciting to watch because I don't think there's anyone in the country that Alabama can't beat. Not saying they will beat, but there's nobody that they can't beat.
This is the first year I think I've seen where there wasn't a clear favorite. Just somebody that was head and shoulders above everybody else. Not saying they were unbeatable, but like if they play 9 times out of 10 against the next best team, they're probably winning. And really throughout the 14 playoff, I mean, look, NIL and transfer portal has completely transformed football. I didn't think it would be this quick, but you're already seeing it. I mean, teams Indiana.
Yeah, right.
You don't transform a program that quickly.
No.
Insane.
Well, that's who Alabama, when they put out the college football playoff field, the rankings on Tuesday, we would have been at Indiana.
Yeah.
I said, bring it on.
I was about to say,
you said, not so fast. I said, I would love to go to Indiana and whoop their ass.
Hey, man, I agree. But it's
still nerve-wracking.
A different year.
Yeah. Right.
But I have found comfort over the last 3 weeks.
This team's getting better, man. They're getting better. They're growing up. They're figuring it out. We'll find out on Saturday against Oklahoma again because it's another test. But
I was glad to see Saturday that we showed up, took care of business. It wasn't like there was no stat line that jumped out where you're like outside of the total offensive yards. I think we had 508 yards on offense.
And they had like 200. You know what? The one that jumped out to me is we had 29 first downs.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
Sustained drives on Saturday.
It was like 29 first downs. That is, and we converted a ton of third downs and 3 for 3 and fourth downs. And then they had 1 third down conversion. Good. That is what I'm talking about, man. And, Kane Womack's defense, like, you remember the press conference where Kane's like taking up, he was acting like the guy was hurt, and I got on my channel and I gave him a little something. Come on, man. The guy was not hurt. And then, and then the basket thing that they did at Tennessee, and they're taking up everything we do, we coach,
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how these guys are going to respond, but I can't as a journalist. I might look ridiculous today, but I am a journalist and I have to be objective. Do I love Alabama? Hell yeah, I love Alabama. Do I want them to win every game? I do. But when I see stuff like that, I can't pretend that I didn't see guys trying to shoot baskets in the background. I mean, I can't.
Nick, I've never met Nick Sheridan.
You can't lie about that.
We've shaken hands before, but
Good guy.
I don't know him. but that was like the classic young coach caught in a pickle moment. Like we everything they do, we coach, and you're just like, okay, yeah, all right, buddy.
He should have said we drained both of them. Just like left it, right? Don't lie to me, man. Don't piss on me and tell me it's raining, you know? But with that said, like these guys have grown up, man. I mean, like you've heard, Kane was saying in his press conference today that you're shaking off the rust. You go from a head coach to being a coordinator again. You got to make adjustments in the second half. You got to you got to get used to doing that again. Nick had stepped up in roles. He was like basically working with Grubbs, who's in the NFL now.
Yeah, look, man, they're doing a good job.
They're doing a good job.
They are doing a good job. I mean, you come in first year, yeah, we're 8-2. I mean, yeah, he wins Saturday. Best win percentage or most wins for a first year head coach ever at Alabama. And
he ties Perkins.
No, I think he passes Perkins, right?
I thought he tied Perkins.
I thought he did Saturday.
I don't know.
But it's
and as Roger Schultz said, it was Curry that was married to Chuck Thompson's daughter, not Perkins.
I sent you that video of him announcing that St. Paul's game.
Yeah. You got to get him back in here.
I need to play that. I wish I could play that for everybody. Johnson to Johnston for nothing. Over the loudspeakers at a high school game. You just have to hear it.
Do you go to those games, the St. Paul's games?
I've been to 2 this year, and I spent more time in line getting a slushie than I did watching the game.
It sounds like Bama games. When you guys were playing, and Derrick Henry was running over Tennessee, and the Brookwood band wasn't able to get me my Diet Coke. I missed the entire third quarter.
The entire third quarter?
Every minute of it. I left like right at the end of halftime, right when everybody was coming out, because I thought I was going to outsmart everybody, and they were out of everything. Bad business, man. Alabama, you better do a better job of business. I hope you are now, because you want to charge NFL prices, you got to have NFL product, man. You got to have NFL staff. You can't go get the Brookwood band, the Panther, the pride of the Panthers. You can't get a drink. I don't care if it's for charity. Just give me my drink. You guys are running over them.
That's what one of my buddies, he said, I had never bought a beer in an NFL game when I was in college, and when I got done playing football, I was working for a guy. He said, I went to y'all's Michigan State game and Jerry's World, and he goes, I go in there and I order a Miller Lite. He goes, I give her a 20, and he's waiting there with his hand out, and she's looking at him, and he's like, what? She's like, $4. He's like, you owe me $4? Like, no, it's $24. She's like, what the hell?
That's more than the Spear. We went to the Spear, and I bought the first round of beers for Big Sexy Elmo. He bought the second round. And I said, they're $18 a piece.
I mean, how many beers do you think they sell in an NFL game?
I don't know.
And to make,
depends how thirsty you are.
$23.
They're big.
On one beer.
They're big.
Okay.
Who wants a big ass beer? Because you can't drink it before it gets cold.
Well,
warm.
If you're not trying to go to and from the
bathroom.
Well, not really the concession stand.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the other problem, though.
I guess you just buy, multiple beers.
When you guys when you guys were playing, like I had, in school, when I was in school at Alabama, I worked for the college radio station, so I didn't get to have fun. I mean, I was, an up and coming media member, so yeah. I wasn't there drinking bourbon at the games. I was working, thinking that one day, if I worked hard enough, I'd make something out of myself. Look at me now. I'm in my backyard in a shed.
It's a hell of a setup.
It's a good setup. Hey, we have a great time in here. Yeah, look at your section over there, by the way. You used to have the weakest side of the room. Not anymore. You have the strongest side of the room. Look at that. You got the Alabama. That's Denny Chimes in there.
Any chimes.
And if you turn it, it'll play Yeah Alabama. Probably we'll get banged for YouTube from playing music that's not authorized. So anyway, then I went off and did stuff, and then I came back, and then I was like working for Crimson Tide Sports Network, and since I worked like women's basketball that nobody listened to, none of you guys even remember me. And then eventually I started. Jim Wells called me and asked me if I wanted to do baseball, and so that was fun. I did that with Chris Stewart. So this is really awesome, man. There was a guy named Cecil Hurt, who you remember Cecil?
Oh, yeah.
Like
passed away 3 years ago.
Yeah, man. But I mean, a legend of like writing and stuff. And he would come in the booth when I was calling the games. Yeah, and I was like, man, this is pretty cool. Like, like I must be doing a decent job because I got Cecil in here. And he'd be like, hey, man, great job. Him, Tommy D's another writer for those guys. I looked up to those guys a lot. And, but when we weren't playing, I would go to the games. And that was like that was when you guys were there.
Yeah.
And so that's when I would, I did sneak bourbon in. And then I would need Diet Coke for that bourbon. And you guys put on a hell of a show. You guys made it worth it.
That's why Nacho who showed up.
Nacho.
I was like, ain't no way. There's no bourbon in that hammer.
This is the question that I had, and I don't want to put you on the spot. So don't take this the wrong way, but I see the hammer. I think Nacho, and if you guys don't know who Nacho is, I'm going to pull his picture up here on Instagram.
I love how he takes a pic. Every time he takes a picture, he poses the hammer over his head.
I want a good one, so let me pull a good one. But anyway, Nacho came and got on the tailgate show with us, which really shows like how far the tailgate shows come. Now that we're getting like celebrity guests to stop by. But Nacho. See that my light went out. Let's see if I can find this. He had a hammer with him. You put me on the spot. Super fan. I don't want to mess this up for the audience at home. Why is it not coming up? There he is.
What are you trying to ask me here?
Okay, there he is right there, guys. That's Nacho. That's Nacho. He's on our tailgate show on Friday. And he did a great job. I thought it was hilarious that he doesn't do score predictions.
He's being politically correct.
He's like, I don't do score predictions. So a well thought out super fan. But the question that I have is I saw Chris Stewart's autograph on that hammer. Why didn't you sign it?
Oh, well, he didn't ask,
You think he was like, I mean, of course he would want your autograph on the hammer.
I don't know. Maybe he thought I was disparaging the hammer too much.
You did make a couple jokes about the hammer. I
love the hammer.
We do. We both do. Like,
I thought it was great.
How about when he said that he got the whole outfit on a trip? He went on him and his wife were on vacation. I want to say it was like Costa Maya
when he went back.
Yeah, Costa Maya or something. When he showed back up to buy all the masks, the luchador masks, that guy was probably he probably needs to just have them displayed on the side of the luchador mask booth or whatever. But I saw Chris Stewart signed it, and I was like, I wonder, like, Jake, this guy, like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I guess he didn't like the hammer jokes.
Yeah, when you said he was sneaking bourbon in with the hammer, he was probably like, no, not letting this guy sign the hammer. The funny thing is that Chris Stewart's autograph's like so nice on there, and I'd already saw it, and you pointed it out to me, like I already knew.
You can see Chris's autograph from a mile away.
It's beautiful. It was beautiful. And I worked with Chris on baseball. You're famous for, when the national media was trying to get you away from Chris, you just were like, hey, hold up. I'm talking to my man here. Which when that happened, that was like, he loved that.
You see, I didn't know. I didn't think it was a big deal.
It was.
I know it means a lot to him now, but I didn't,
Back then
I didn't
it
even
did too.
think about it,
Oh, man. You're like, I'd say
Well, what
of
happened
all the
was-
quarterbacks, though, I think you're like the Alabama fans quarterback because you're like a Alabama fan that played quarterback. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of like one of us. You just had a exceptional ability to throw a football. but when it comes to like understanding all of us, you're a lot closer to Nacho than you are some of the other guys. And that is a compliment. That is a compliment. I think that's why you're loved, man. I read the comments.
I like normal people. You know? That's my group.
Hey, how about this? We got Tom Abraham on from up in North Alabama. He's like a OG of sports broadcasting in this state. I mean, he's been doing it forever since I was a student.
I think he's hilarious.
He is. He's like dry, and he's like, our segment was brought to you by Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Like, and I'm not thinking anything. I'm like, hey, this segment's brought to you by Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, the original peanut butter whiskey, great for any tailgate party. And Tom chimes in, and he's got Nacho there, and he's like, yeah, it's great. Brought to you by Screwball.
I know he said it now.
I was like, that and at that point, Nacho Bama hadn't come on yet, so I was like, man, I hope he doesn't insult our guest.
But he was sitting right there.
He heard it, but when you're a superhero like that, you take the abuse.
I mean,
come on, great personality.
There's a lot of different roles that people play, and you know what scrutiny comes with it.
Yeah, right. That's 100% right.
But I love it. I love the enthusiasm.
Oh,
man, seems like a great guy.
Hopefully, he said he might come to Mississippi to see us this week.
Heck, it'd be a shorter drive than Tuscaloosa.
That's right. So anyway, I don't even know how we got diverted off this side road. Probably because of me.
There was something else.
Where are we at here? Anyway. So playing Oklahoma, 50 conference championships, 7 national championships.
So of the
where do you rank these guys? I think they're in the top 5.
You mean like blue blood schools? I was going to ask you about that because I was sitting there thinking about Caleb Cunningham leaving and then the Merrick leaving and going to Nebraska. And I'm like, why? It just, again, there's got to be money at play here.
There is. That's what
these guys are kind of close to. I mean, I guess if you want to play at home, I get that.
It's not that though, dude. You know what it is.
I mean,
it's name your number, and you just pay them.
Yeah.
I mean, and look, I told you before the show went on, like, this is how I'm not that concerned because of the transfer portal. You'll go out and replace them with somebody else that's ready to come in and play.
Yeah.
Would I've liked Caleb Cunningham to come? Yeah. I mean, I've had him on my show a couple times. I like the guy. I would have loved to have seen him play at Alabama, but they'll go out and pay somebody that can come in and contribute next year. You don't know with a high school guy what they're going to do. For every Ryan Williams, there's 100 other guys that come in and can't play.
Yeah.
But when you go in that transfer portal and you get the cream of the crop guys, the LT Overton type guys, they come in and right away they're contributors. Yeah. Some of the best players. Now, along that lines, Keon Sabb's out for the year. And I'll tell you what, if Bray Hubbard hadn't come in and played so well, and
oh my God,
I mean, we would really miss him. And Kalen DeBoer talked about it in the press conference today. He's hoping that he comes back. I hope he comes back. But I'll tell you what, Bray Hubbard is a savior for that defense, man. And I hear from people all the time that say they love this guy.
Yeah, well, he's a stud. I mean, to come in and
him and Moore, both we're doing great.
Not only just, I mean,
and Mincy, I know.
You get a guy come in and play as a backup, usually you're just like, okay, hopefully he doesn't just screw it up and lose the game. But to come in and be a difference maker in these games, I mean, that's hard to beat. You can tell this kid's worked his ass off, done everything he needs to do to be in position to play. And as a backup, a lot of times that's hard to do, especially when you expect to play all the time. You've always played your whole life. I mean, and you can say, that's what you're supposed to do, and you need to be disciplined, whatever. I mean, it is tough to do that, and he has accepted this role, and he's been all in from day one, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so much of football. I remember
right down the road, Ocean Springs.
Yeah, Ocean Springs. My cousin's a police officer over there. So, Kyle, what's up? Not in Ocean Springs, but over there, in that area, Biloxi. So I remember when my nephew was playing football, and didn't last long for him. But I said, if you want to be good at football, the secret of the game is being good at placement and angles. Like it, and it's so much geography or geometry. Like basically being in the right place. Some people are so athletic they just get there, but some people are really technically smart and know how to be in the right places.
Yeah, you just got to anticipate,
right? But you know what I'm saying? Like there's a certain line that the ball's going to travel on.
That you just got to know where they're going with it before,
right?
You notice alignment and you're like, okay, I know what they're doing,
right? Well, studying studying the plays and stuff. Yeah. How hard is it to learn a playbook?
I mean, it depends. Once you've played for a while, I mean, again, everybody runs pretty much the same stuff. I mean, the coaching tree in college football, especially at the top level, there's a lot of overlap. A lot of guys have worked with each other, shared the same ideas. They know what they're doing. I mean, again, I think Lane was kind of he was kind of revolutionary in the way he came up with a few things, but I mean, again, everybody runs pretty similar schemes. There's just different ways to get there. So I mean, coming from Florida State to Alabama, there's a lot of overlap there. Obviously, Jimbo and Coach Saban. Jimbo had taken a lot of the base stuff from Coach Saban, but added on to it pretty heavily. But it's the verbiage that changes, and when you're switching one, from one school to the other as a quarterback, get to know everybody, understanding how to play with everybody. It's really just the fit that takes the longest to get comfortable with, I guess.
Yeah, right. So if I'm going
but learning a playbook, I mean, to me, the routes aren't something that's hard to learn. It's the protections, and because everybody, I feel like, again, everybody blocks the same way, but they don't, I mean, understanding, who you've got picked up, where the mic call needs to be, knowing who's hot, how to communicate that. I mean, that's where you kind of get into the confusion if you haven't been around a team for a while. Now, having said that, knowing the routes and then executing, being on time, anticipating, that's something that takes a while too. But in terms of just black and white rules, protections and how to change protections based on what look you have, that can be a little confusing and run together at times.
Right. I put Oklahoma. I think Bama is number one, right? Notre Dame number two, like historically. And then I would say
you got to put Texas up there.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think Oklahoma's better than Texas. Oklahoma's beat Texas more than Texas has beat them.
But I mean, when you see that Longhorn emblem.
Yeah, but there were years they sucked. I mean, I agree. Oklahoma was always in the mix, man, forever.
I mean, I put Oklahoma up there.
7 titles.
But when you think of Texas, I mean, Texas is just.
I put them.
They got their own network.
I know, but I say they're in the top 10, but I don't think they're top 5. And then I would say Ohio State.
I would say Texas based on resources, not necessarily performance.
Now that they can buy everybody, that makes it different.
What about Penn State?
I mean, when Joe Pa was there, but I mean,
what about Florida?
They stink. They had a run.
I'm not talking.
I know now, but what I'm telling
blue blood. Do you put them in the blue?
No,
blood
they were always they've had too many. they've had too many decades like this. Spurrier and what's the other guy's name? The guy, went to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Him.
Yeah, I know who exactly. Urban Meyer.
But before that and after that, they stink. It's the schools that no matter who's there, they're good. Like
what
Bama,
about Georgia?
No, I mean they had Herschel Walker win a championship, and they just won like their second and third one. Like they haven't won.
But when you think of Georgia, do you not think
blue blood? No,
respect.
I think Notre Dame, Alabama, I think Oklahoma. Honestly, I think Nebraska, but they've been bad for so long that
Nebraska doesn't even cross my mind. Like I feel like they're a second tier.
There was when I was a kid.
I put Nebraska and Auburn kind of in the same.
No, man, Nebraska.
I know Nebraska used to be good, but I wasn't allowed to see that.
I was, and it was like they were good.
I was old enough to see Eric Crouch. That was the only time I ever saw Nebraska.
Tommy Frazier. They would like they were the last team that really ran the option, and once in a while.
What about USC?
Yeah, USC's in that mix. I'll put USC in that mix. Ahead of
Michigan.
But Michigan, I mean, it's not like Michigan has a pile of championships. Like they've been good, traditionally good. They've won a lot of games, but I want to say like last year they won that title. That was the first one they won since like the 80s or something.
Tennessee?
No, Tennessee's not in that. They've been traditional.
So you've got multiple tiers of this.
Well, I'm saying like the top
tier,
yeah,
and you've got
and then underneath that there's
20.
Right, like Notre Dame, Alabama, USC in that mix, Oklahoma. Like there's just like where it's been like it isn't just Nick Saban, it's Bear Bryant,
yeah, but
it's also Gene Stallings, and then it's Wallace Wade, and it's Frank Thomas, and then you got other guys that were good too. Like that were in there and won. Every Bama coach wins 10 games. I mean, shit, some places you never have a coach win 10 games. Or if you do, it's like we're going to like name the field after them. Yeah. All of our coaches
Indiana.
do. Yeah, right. We're going to give the guy an 8-year deal. And really, the guy hadn't even like won that many games I hate to say it, but he's won 10 games, but they might not win another game. And now you got the guys, you're going to be like Michigan State.
What about Miami?
Miami, a spurt. But they're in that same.
I feel like they hadn't been good.
They're
since
like
06.
They're like that Tennessee thing. Yeah, they're in that Tennessee thing. To me,
is Auburn in the second tier or third tier?
Third tier.
They're waffling on that line for me.
Yeah, I mean, like they're look. Auburn likes Auburn. If it was playing us, they play us tough. I have no disrespect for the way they play.
How did Auburn get so big? I mean, not like so big, but just how is Alabama? How do we have a second in-state school that's in the SEC?
Because we should have never started playing them every year. You know what I mean? It'd be like West Virginia and Marshall.
Yeah,
we played them every year and we let them build up on us. But and that's why Alabama.
It's kind of crazy to think having Alabama and Auburn.
I know
in the same state. I mean, too.
But Alabama won't play UAB in anything really. I mean, baseball. But you never see them play basketball or football. I think a lot of us would actually like that. But they just don't want to spread the. You can build a whole program being like, hey, Bama didn't offer you a scholarship, but you can come here and we'll play them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what you're seeing in Indiana, a whole team of guys that have grudges, and that's why they're good, man. I mean, like all of us, when we feel like we've been pushed and challenged, do our best, right?
Extra level of passion there.
Yeah. I mean, like I feel like my whole career's been as an underdog, and it's like, hey, I'm going to go out there and prove you that I'm really good at this.
Oh.
So I think you get extra. I think there's like an extra motivation when people don't believe in you.
Yeah. No,
and then the other thing is like when people do believe in you, it's harder to work sometimes when everybody looks at you and thinks you're the guy. To me, like it's easier when you're just trying to prove everybody wrong, but when you're there and you got to kind of continue to be the guy, I've talked about this before. how much respect I have for Jay Barker. You know, he's a great guy. I don't care what anybody says. I know him, and I think he's a great guy. And it's hard to live like that every day because he is such a special person that, you know, people want to knock him down for being like that.
Yeah.
And that's how what's the way I look at him. Tim Tebow's kind of even to another level of that.
Yeah, he's a different level. It's
like a different human,
good for
man.
him.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that.
Me too.
I mean, much respect, but I wish I could do it, but that's I don't know. You got to sit back and act like a dumbass on a podcast here and there.
Yeah, right. We get in here and duke it out, you know. You know, sometimes the hardest thing to do is to take criticism when you could take up for yourself, but you know that it would hurt people that you care about.
Yeah. Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And you wear it because it's what's best for everybody else, but not you. And that's why I think Jay Barker's a great dude. That's my opinion on him. I think he's awesome. And I, you know, but when you're around those type of people, you just get around them. And you're like, man, there's just a certain energy that they have, but everybody has those expectations that, you know, that you're on a pedestal and you got to live up to that every day. I don't have those expectations. I'm good at pouring beer. make you laugh. I got a mustache. Really, it's just for you guys to make fun of me and just like to goof off, right? So I put Oklahoma as a blue blood program. I think this is I'm honestly shocked that they gave Brent Venables a vote of confidence and they suck so bad. That's crazy.
I think they're just a few pieces away.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
You sound like Bama fans like second year of Shula.
Oh.
Everybody's like, we're right there.
You know, that's
sorry to do that to you. I hate to do that to you.
Yeah, I was talking to my dad yesterday.
He said the same thing.
My dad was like, I'll always have respect for Shula.
Yeah.
You know,
you want that or another one of these? Okay, let's call a timeout. Oh, we can call a timeout. We'll call a timeout. But before we do, I want to tell all you guys this. The show's brought to you by MyBookie.ag. Use the promo code NEXTROUND to double your initial deposit. MyBookie.ag, making the podcast happen and supporting our channels. I love you guys in the comments section. Love getting on here and talking Alabama football. I'm really on this show life. I mean, we just get into a lot of different topics on here, but we love you guys, the interaction. MyBookie.ag does that. But also, when you go on there for the first time, they'll double that initial deposit. And you got so many different things that you can be a part of right now, whether that's college football, college basketball, Bama, you know, in the top 10 in both of those, right? Slide it down a little bit after the latest, the loss to Purdue. But it's not where you're ranked at the beginning of the year during the season. It's where you're ranked at the end of the season that matters, right? You got the NFL, the NBA. So many different things going on. NASCAR, mybookie.ag. Take advantage of it. And the other thing, and we are, you know, very, very excited about this, is our promo code for your holidays at Roback, room 20% off at roback.com when you make that initial wager. So take advantage of that. And thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Back on Elephant in the Room, our podcast with Jay Coker. I'm Mick Gillispie. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. All right. I guess if you call these segments, final segment of the show, I want to talk some hoops. Bama played Purdue at Purdue on Friday. Purdue shot like 60% in the second half. I thought Bama played well, but still not hitting threes at the clip it's going to take to win some of those games. The rankings came out. They're not number 2 anymore. I think they went down to number 8, but it's not where you're ranked at the beginning. It's where you're ranked at the end. And I love the fact that Nate Oates is going to go and play. You got Illinois coming to Birmingham at the BJCC. Bama's going to play them. That is a great matchup this week, middle of the week game. Bama's got Creighton. There's a bunch of really
this
fun
schedule coming up.
It's awesome, man.
Illinois, Houston, Rutgers, Notre Dame, UNC, Creighton. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ranked teams in a row. That's the way you get better. Prepare yourself for the tournament run.
That's right.
I love it. That's the way all schedules should be.
Yep.
I mean,
if you want to win,
it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how you do it.
As Brian Kelly would say, if you're a contender and not a pretender, that's the kind of schedule.
No. What he said was October is for pretenders. November is for contenders. And then we whoop their ass.
Man.
God, that was beautiful, man. He found out the same thing that Orgeron found out. Run that mouth, get that ass kicked. You remember they barely beat us in 2019, right? They had a great team. They really did. No, 2019 they had Joe Burrow. And they won the championship. That was a great team. If Tua doesn't fumble, right? But then he gets in the middle of the field. He's like, "We're going to the Saw House."
Oh yeah,
dude. I played that on Bama Insider when I was doing shows for them. We had that in our queue. I just play that thing all the time leading up to the ass whooping they took. Like, from now on, this is our house. Watch what you say, LSU. Watch it. And then you go down to Florida and lose.
Talking some trash.
They go down to Florida and just get manhandled. That was sad to watch.
Yeah, it was. Well,
it was like when it was like when you
it looks like a team that has talent, but not they don't play well together.
It reminded me of like when you're at like, I don't know, like Santa Claus is out there and everybody's in line, and that one kid just doesn't want to listen, and their dad's a spanker, and they take him behind the elf shelf and the elf house and spank them in front. But everybody knows what's going on. Watching Florida take them back there and whoop them after we did, it was sad to see. Like you don't want to look like you want to look, and the kid deserves it, but you're going at the same time like, God, I hate hearing this.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
You're like this, like
that is a classic game of 2.5 point line. Makes no sense whatsoever.
They knew it.
I hammered Florida.
Did you?
I mean, not. I say that. I don't.
You went to my bookie and put down $3,000. I had a friend. I told you guys that my pick of the year was take Georgia and the 9 or 10 points. So I told one of my buddies that. I said, take Georgia. They're not going to lose this game. Tennessee's not going to beat them.
Again, that was a top 10 matchup with a 10-point spread.
Yeah.
You take the favorite every time.
Right. And I told him, so this dummy, he teased it up to 14 and pushed.
Oh my God.
They would have won like almost $4,000. I'm like, and I said, dude, I didn't tell you that they were going to cover 14. I said, they're going to cover 10.
Golly.
But you ever see those? Like, I was so sure about that. And then he's texting me, like, you said, da-da-da. I was like 10-0. I said, bro, just hold on. Just wait. Well, talk to me in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And it turned out that the game kind of, but Tennessee's a lot better than I gave them credit for, man. Like I thought that they were a couple of bad calls away.
Better.
But he can't throw the deep ball. That's why he
played better, but he doesn't seem like he's real comfortable back there.
He doesn't have the deep ball.
He's one of those guys right now to me, and I think he's going to be a good player, but right now he's one of those guys that looks really good in 7-on-7, but not quite there yet. 11-on-11 full speed football.
How were you at 7-on-7? Was that one of your was that one of your strengths?
I mean,
unstoppable.
It's about the same as 11-on-11. I feel like.
Oh man.
when you go out there and you don't really care what happens to you when you're playing, it helps in the, I don't know. Then 7-on-7 becomes pretty similar to 11-on-11.
Okay.
But if 7-on-7 is not very good, then that really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, you said you didn't do a bunch of the camps and stuff.
No, we didn't have 7-on-7 teams and all that back then. I mean, we had the high school 7-on-7s, but we didn't.
The Under Armour 5000.
Yeah, there wasn't like a like basketball has. What do they call them? The AAU teams.
Yeah.
Now they have 7-on-7 AAU.
Right.
Which is, just taking the country by storm, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, if you talk about taking the country by storm, I got a buddy whose son is like doing all the baseball stuff.
Oh yeah.
And you met them. They came over here one time.
Oh yeah, the travel ball.
I mean, dude,
imagine.
They're going to like analytics like places, and like the guy's like 8. I was like, I'm just like, okay, well, cool, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if that stuff helps or doesn't help, but they're all in on it now. You know?
It's so weird. I mean, I don't know. You hear these, like Jeff Rancour is the best on talking about youth sports.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think he's got a couple sons, but he talks about the travel ball stuff and all that. I mean, it just seems crazy to me. All this traveling around, and I think some of the parents get into it more than the kids do.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be one of the referees for those games.
Oh my God.
They're terrible. And those parents.
Okay. I will say this though, parent, hey, at the same token, it says a lot about you as a parent if you're putting that much effort into it and getting your kid out there and showing that much love. And,
right.
I mean, I'm sitting here joking.
That's why you're wanting that third kid. Get that boy and be like that dad that's like freaking out. We're going to make the camp in Atlanta. Okay. Little Jake. We're going to both have a Jake. Me and you. Jake Jr.
My if I had a son, he'd be a little assassin by the time he was 8.
How about Miss Coker? She ready for another one?
No.
You had a bunch of brothers and sisters though, so you're conditioned for
2
a big
sisters, 2 brothers.
Yeah, and you already. What's crazy? Yeah, and what's crazy is that you're already into the Thanksgiving holiday, dead into the Thanksgiving holiday. When you told me that, I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, I'm not even there yet. I'm going down. I'm taking everybody.
Thanksgiving is next week.
Oh, dude, I'm taking everybody to the Floribama. Baron Huber's going to be there. And if you guys show up, we'll be there. The Hubers, we're going to be there with the Hubers. No football. It's going to be live music and then a potluck with about 800 dishes. And I'm not even kidding. We went last year. We had such a great time. It's all the like, it's not even the money, it's the stress. Like, I just don't want to deal with the stress.
The stress of what?
Of having to cook and all that stuff, man. I don't even want to do that.
I mean, you got to make it fun though. I don't see a grill. I mean, I don't see you don't smoke anything or
not yet. It's on my list. I'm getting one soon. I got that now.
The Traeger.
I will.
Because I already know you.
You think I'm going to get the egg?
If you get the egg, that's going to be a monumental fuck up.
All my friends have eggs down here, man. Like, it's like a status symbol.
Man, I did a.
Bricken's got this fire torch that lights up these pellets. Have you seen that?
I've got a handful of tool bag friends that like, oh, if you get a Traeger, you're not really cooking it. You got to manage the flame. You got to manage the smoke,
right?
The heat. You got to stay up with that brisket, rub it and love it.
I don't like that either.
No, I'm setting it, and I'm going to sit there and drink a beer and watch TV and pretend I'm doing something.
Yeah,
while
you're selling me on this.
Makes it work.
You're selling me on this. You are selling me on this.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy a $200 piece of meat, throw it in there, screw with that flame, and then just I open it up 12 hours later and it's one big dumpster fire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The Traeger is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it. I had a cook off against, again, mentioned my tool bag friends earlier, talking about the egg, and we had the whole neighborhood, all our friends from the neighborhood come over, blind judge, or you
Blind
tally.
taste test.
Oh yeah, and it was almost a shutout on the brisket, and basically a shutout on the ribs. The only reason it was kind of close on the rib, and it wasn't kind of close, it was a blowout, but they got a few votes. Just because you only spend 4 or 5 hours of ribs.
I'm going to go through the comments from some of these shows here so you can talk about them. This one's from our friend Dickie. Forgive me, Jake. I will stop texting Mick and sending him mustache pics. Hey, look, it's this mustache is 2 weeks older than what the one I'm looking at right now. And here's one that tells me that the mustache is weak. People tell me to pay attention because you got on to me for looking at my phone. Here's a guy named Michael. He said, dig in the stash, Mick. I got mine growing now too. Thank you, man. Thank you. Because somebody ahead of him, now that was from Brooks. Michael said Coker's hilarious and the mustache is weak. Get rid of it. And then Brooks came back. Brooks
That's my kind of comment right
Brooks
there,
came
buddy.
back and he's like, digging the mustache, Mick. I'm growing mine too. It's November. It's a mustache month. Coker's literally who plays Ashton Kutcher played on the show Ranch. I think we saw that, right? Somebody else told me to get rid of the mustache.
Yeah, we did see that.
We see that.
Which
we love this. We love the comments.
So that's open for interpretation. I don't know what kind of character he plays in the Ranch.
I don't either. But I do love the comments. We only did one show last week. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It's Thursday. What were we doing Thursday?
I'm out of town a lot, so it's hard to kind of get back together here and like our magic is in studio.
Yeah.
But I don't mind it.
I can't do the remote stuff.
You're good at it. I think you're better than you think you are. A lot of comments about Big Sexy Elmo, about Brett, man. Thank you guys for all those. Like, I mean, I feel like everywhere I go, people bring that up. So been over a month now. He would not approve of the mustache. He's gonna tell you that.
Well, I mean,
his mom's sending me a couple of his Grateful Dead tie-dyes. I got him back. So I don't know what I'm going to do with those.
You got to hang them up.
I mean, I might. I don't know. I'm going to maybe get them framed and put a picture on there or something. It's crazy.
Framed with the flag in the background.
Yeah, I mean, your side of the room's like the best side of the room now. Like you got the American flag, and then you got the Steely back there, the American Steely. You got the Bears. Does it feel more comfortable over there?
Yeah.
I mean, I figured it would. We need to get I need to get some kind of like artifact of your career to put back right behind you there. Like a picture or something.
I've got my Sugar Bowl jersey just sitting in my closet on a hanger.
I don't want anything that you need to keep long term. You know what I mean?
I've been trying to figure out what to do with that thing.
So you got to hold on to that, dude. Like those, I mean, like you're going to be old like me one day.
I've got the Cotton Bowl jersey, the National Championship jersey, Senior Bowl jersey. I've got those framed.
I mean, we'll frame one and put it up.
The Sugar Bowl jersey. That was a backup we lost.
Okay. Well, if you get it, I'll get it framed. We'll put it in here somewhere. I don't know where, but we got to have something over there. I was thinking about moving that bookshelf and then put, and kind of having, because I love the flag behind you. we're patriotic in this house here. But thank you guys for all the
Or
comments.
when we go to Vegas, we can take the Sugar Bowl jersey to Pawn Stars and see if they'll give me more than $5.
That'd be so funny. Man, I wonder what if we put all of our rings together and took them in there and just see how much we could get. I mean, you'd have a big portion of the money, but I got a couple too,
Yours are probably worth more in material value.
Yeah. It'd be funny just to see, right?
Yeah.
But all that doesn't matter. I mean, there was a guy from 2020 there were like 60 grand for those rings. And he was like a running back that transferred to Texas.
Insane to me.
You're a damn quarterback. Like, I mean, besides Derrick Henry, no offense, yours are probably second most valuable.
I would not take offense to that.
Who, by the way, is still like running over people in the NFL.
Yeah.
We need to get him on here. It'd be so fun to have him. We got to get Shank back in the house, man.
Yeah, he wouldn't be drinking beer with us. He'd be sitting over there eating an avocado.
Yeah, right. I'd love to hear his stories about you. I'll tell you this is the list. So we'll kind of finish this.
He used to always call me. He used to always say, "Hey, big man." That's what I always used to say.
Big man.
Oh,
yeah. Did he know your real name? Like Ricky Henderson. You ever heard the stories about Ricky Henderson? He's like talking.
No, I always said, "Hey, big man," to everybody. What's up, big fella? And so he'd make fun of me because that's what I said all the time.
It was like, I don't want. This is like a story that that you hear a lot, but Ricky Henderson was playing with John Olerud. He had to wear a batting helmet because he had like some kind of like dent in his skull. Yeah. And then they played together. I'm gonna say like maybe in Toronto, and then they played somewhere else together. And Ricky's like, I used to play with a guy that had a helmet that he wore all the time. I guess he didn't say Ricky though, because he always talked in the third person. Ricky used to play with the guy like it was him. Hey, that was me. Oh, my bad. Yeah, I'll tell you, man, our list of guests, right? I would love to have Scott Cochran.
He's coming on.
I would love to talk to Coach Saban. And not even about, I just want to talk to Coach Saban about what life was like with you as quarterback. What he remembers.
He lost a lot of hair, I'm sure.
Yeah, but he also got another championship. So that would be cool to hear what he remembers about that season, right? He's getting a lot better, looser on the so much better. Just because he's just having fun.
When they brought that platter of food out, and he goes, "What is this shit?"
Yeah. Right.
That's the kind of stuff. Just old man, funny as hell.
Yeah, he doesn't care. Well, he's got the FU money,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to him. Like the rest of us are like, we'd be on that show and we'd be like, and let me tell you, man, like I've been not on that big stage, but I've been on some big stages, and it's like every little mistake you make, you're like, you go home and you just analyze everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I told you the one was I was doing.
I was talking to my dad yesterday, and we were watching Russell Wilson play, and I was like, it must be pretty awesome to have made that much money, and you're just out there playing that.
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah,
you don't
matter.
Like, you're not worried about a damn thing.
No. I was on a Cubs game, and I said pianist instead of, for a person that plays piano. I just kept going. Pianist. I don't know.
That's what they call them in Baltimore.
That was a Cubs game. Everybody was staring at me. I was like, okay, I'm fired. Pianist.
In a line shot to left field.
Here's the 1-1 on the way, and that's outside for a ball. Hey, the pianist is doing a great job right now. Playing my favorite song. Here's the 1-1 on the way.
The guy who made some comment, you're like, oh my gosh. I think it was supposed to be off air, and he, in the middle of his apologies, like, a line shot to.
Oh no, okay. That was Marty Brenneman's son. and I know Marty and I know Tom Brenneman, and that was awful. It was terrible.
I don't remember what he said, but
okay. So you have time for me to tell you this?
All right, I gotta get
because
out
I know
of here
you got to go.
minutes.
We got to go. So they're in between games of a doubleheader, and he used an inappropriate term to describe gay people in between and he didn't realize that they were live, right?
Yeah.
And I always thought with that it was. I thought that he was basically reciting a line from what's that movie? The cowboy movie that has Blazing Saddles, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was a line from Blazing Saddles. I don't know if it was or it wasn't, but it sounded like a line from Blazing Saddles, And so they start the second game, and then all of a sudden people heard it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, first thing I'm thinking is okay, I talk a lot of crap, but I would never say that anyway off the air, let alone on the air. Yeah. I was like, okay, and then he's on the air and he's basically giving this apology, and a play happens, and he did that call because of the home run, and then they took him off the air, and he's been banished ever since. He's on some YouTube shows. I hate that for him, really.
Yeah.
But you got, man, I mean, it is this. The whole point of what we're doing is, the way I feel about it anyway, and I'm being serious, is you might not agree with me politically. You might not agree with Brett. Brett and I, you guys might not know this, talking about Big Elmo. We were totally different politically.
Yeah.
But when we got on here and did our thing, it didn't matter, man. Still my best friend. He's still my best friend.
It didn't matter if y'all were on or off the air.
Right. Right. Exactly. You're still
one of your best friends.
Yeah. Right. And that's the way that we want everybody to feel when they come on and do it. When they're on, we used to talk about it. That's the way we want all of our shows to feel, I may be I hate this about this, or I might hate this about this. But when you're doing this, and you want everybody at the bar to feel like there's a spot for them. Yeah. And when you say sometimes you say things like that, and it's if you were that person that might have applied to, you might not feel real comfortable being there.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a line that I think, it's are you being funny, or is this where you're hurting somebody's feelings? And I don't want to be, me personally.
You don't want to be a dick.
I don't. Exactly, man. I just want everybody to be hey, I listened to this dude do a game, or I watched the show, and these guys made me laugh for 2 hours or an hour and a half. And if you did that, you did your thing, No matter what your politics are, no matter where you stand on things. So that's kind of my goal every day. And that's where he messed up. It's,
I don't even know what he said. I can't.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you
off
there. I'm not telling you on here.
All I remember is that apology speech, but I don't remember what he said.
Yeah, well, he was on there, and then a home run happened. He's in the middle of apologizing. His dad was one of the all-time great play-by-play guys, and I mean, look, man, let's be honest. When your dad's a great play-by-play guy, you get advantages that other guys don't get. And maybe if you would have had to rough it out like everybody else, you might have thought twice before you said something like that at work. But I still like him. I don't have anything against him personally, but you can't say stuff like that. And it's hard to get back in when you made that kind of mistake, because there's so many things that go along with that. There's people that might never watch, they might think that's who you are really in your real life, and then they just, it's not that they're a fan of the team, but they don't, man, nobody wants to feel like they just want to come on and have a good time.
No, that's right. But at the same time,
he did it to himself.
At the same time, I mean, I know I've said things. I'm like, why in the world?
Yeah, but you know what? You've said stuff. I've been on here with you. It's normally pretty funny. It's from a good place.
Well, I mean, that's where I try to be from.
Normally, it's offending me. And I take it, for the good of the show. All right, man. Look, all of you guys that have hung through an hour and 33 minutes of this, we'll be back later this week to talk. Are we coming back later this week?
Yeah.
To talk
We can
Alabama.
do it in Mississippi.
We can do it in Mississippi. We're going to come back and we're going to talk Alabama and Oklahoma. The Crimson Tide, if they win out, there's a very good chance that they're going to be in the SEC championship game. One of those rings that we want to take to Pawn Stars was from the SEC championship game. You have 2 of them to go in there, and I think it still matters.
Roll Tide.
All right, Roll Tide, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.